you probably can't see down there, but there's little pockets of beautiful, brilliant red. Look at all these little Sturt desert peas, just on the middle of the track. I'm going to have to go back the way I came now, because I can't drive through here. Even though it's quite a well-worn road or outback track, there's no way I'm going to risk squashing any of these beautiful little visual delicacies, let's say. Have a look at that. That's probably a painting in itself. How beautiful are they? They're in the shadow there at the moment, but just this brilliant red. Absolutely amazing sight to behold. Absolute treasures. Just happily growing away. No one even knows they're there. Just sitting out here in creation. Absolutely beautiful. I'm just glad I could share it. Okay guys, so what I ended up opting for is this particular photo right here. Thinking at this stage, I'm going to over exaggerate those Sturt desert peas, and I'm going to try and bring the track sort of in through here a little bit, and then I'm going to bring that sort of foliage or all those little trees and bushes on the side, sort of bring them out this way with a nice, again, beautiful cerulean blue sky, as you know I love, and they do really look good. Okay, so we've got our cerulean blue, we've got our titanium white, we're going to be using some yellow ochre, some orange, and also some, what have we got there? Some burnt sienna. What have we got over here? A little bit of burnt umber as well. So I've got some burnt umber. So these are all the colours we're going to kind of use, and also some nice vermilion. Yep, vermilion, a little bit painted over there, but some vermilion. And we've got our greens, like our sap green. I'd really love a nice terra verte, but I don't have that. So this stage, we'll just see how we go from here. And hopefully by the end of this exercise, we've got a nice little Sturt desert pea outback painting. And might also use some crimson. I reckon I'll mix some crimson in. I might even use some of that monastral green. And no doubt, our yellows. So we've got some lemon yellow and some medium yellow as well. Okay, let's get this show on the road. All right, so we've got our titanium white to start off with. And again, we'll just put a nice dob of that over there, because I'm going to use, actually I might even put a little bit more, another dob of that, because we're going to use a fair bit of this for our sky, our lovely outback sky. It looks like I'm doing a carbon copy of the last two paintings. Got my cerulean blue there. Again, as you can see, it's very, very light on the horizon line there. It's even got a little bit of yellow ochre in there, to be honest, but at this stage, we'll just stick to the nice, very, very light pigment for that nice blue sky, as pale as I can possibly get it. So again, remember, we just add a little bit of the darker pigment to the lighter pigment first. So in this case, the white, and I'm only just going to accent it. Because remember, even though they do dry a little dull, in these sorts of artworks, for some reason, it just suits the acrylics so well. They become very, very vibrant. So here we go. I've mixed that up nicely. And that will be a nice start to this background. And to get that on nice and thick, I'm actually just going to use my little palette knife here, or plastic spatula in this case, but it is fashioned as an artist's palette knife. So I'm just going to bring that through. And again, don't forget, we like to reverse engineer our paintings, all I do, to the point where I can do my backgrounds first, and then I can start to paint my subjects in over the top. And this here allows me to get a really nice coverage of paint. I will come back in a minute with my 25mm flat brush and just blend that in when I start to add a little bit more of that darker blue. Just push that out the way a little bit. Getting that on nice and nice and heavy. Bring it down below the horizon line as to where you want to do it. That way when I bring in my my land or earth, it's going to overlap that nice blue sky. All right, that's coming on nicely. Now, I won't make the mistake of putting that darker blue on. I'll only add that with the brush when I want to start to blend. Oh, just about. Oh, see, that was my good water, and this is a little bit heavier, this cup, my old mug. That's a little bit heavier, so I don't push that everywhere. And the clear water is just for alone. Now, okay, so let's get stuck into this. A little swig of my cup of tea. Okay, I've got my 20 mil, I reckon. Oh, probably 25 mil. Always say that, don't I? Always second guess myself. But I think we measured it one time there. So let's say it's a 20 mil brush, nice flat. And they do get a little stiff when they've been cleaned and they just get left alone. So I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of water to that brush. I'm just going to start to pick up again that nice white. Or sorry, light blue, very, very, almost duck egg blue, ducky. But we'll go through, start to blend that in with that beautiful duck egg blue. Back in the 70s, just about every house was duck egg blue. No why. I was a 70s baby, shows you how old I am. Now, I'm just going to grab the tiniest bit of that blue, and we'll start to, I like to start painting the very, very top of that page or canvas, and then I'll gradually bring that down. Try to keep it really nice and pale. Just give it the most slightest of accent. There we go, and I'm just going to bring that down through, just blend that through, nice like that. And that's just about enough. And because there is a tiny little bit, probably can't pick it up on the reference photo there, there's the tiniest little bit of dust on the horizon line there. So to introduce that, I'm going to go for the tiniest little bit of yellow ochre, and I'm just going to almost brush that off and just sort of put that in the bottom there. Just the tiniest little accent. Make it hardly noticeable, but it'll just give it that little authentic touch. It'll probably, if anything, get painted out by all the foliage that we're going to add. Look at that, that's nice, I like that. All right, that's enough of that. Now it is on an old track, so hence why it's a little lighter than it normally would be. So I'm going to use a little bit of this raw sienna, which is just a little bit darker than the yellow ochre, as you can see there. And I'm also going to incorporate a little bit of that burnt sienna. Just going to incorporate a little bit of that. And I'm not even sure if I'm going to use any orange yet, but at this stage, I'm just going to start to use that raw, just straight raw sienna. We'll just put that onto our land part of this lovely little landscape. We'll just mix that in. Now I'm going to curve this a little, so I'll bring it up to about, probably there. I'm just going to curve that down. Like I said, I'm letting this painting kind of dictate the terms because I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to go about these Sturt desert peas yet. But I think as we get into it a little bit, it'll pretty much work itself out. I've got an idea in my head, but yeah, it's not 100% there yet. Now I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that burnt sienna as well, and I'm going to just bring that through. really get it down in there on those sides here. I don't really care about blending that in really perfectly, because we'll put a little, we'll add our own little sort of landscape. I'm only using this reference as purely that, just a reference. Might even put some stones. Like I said, not 100% sure how I'm going to go about this whole process yet. I reckon there's a little bit of orange in the background there too, so we'll incorporate a bit of that. Don't mind that sort of rough look there. So I want to add a little bit more of that burnt sienna. Pretty late here tonight, so even though no one's around, I feel like being very quiet so I don't wake anybody. But there's no one here, so it's not like I can really wake anyone. Maybe the neighbours. Hopefully they don't complain. What's that guy over there doing? I'm pretty sure he's on his own. What's he in there talking to himself all night for? He's a weirdo. Anyway, right, now, see how I'm not too concerned about blending that burnt sienna in. Kind of like that patchy look at the moment. Now it looks a bit weird as opposed to the reference, but hang in there. Yeah, just square that off a little bit more. I'm going to start to incorporate a bit of that orange now. Pull the old skim off. So I'm going to go a fair bit lighter, but this will sort of make a good base. Paint over that. I'll just bring that out a little bit further, a little bit higher there. G'day guys, while I'm editing, I'm going to jump in here real quick. Now you see how I'm moving my hand around like I'm conducting a symphony? In my mind, I'm just quickly working out how I'm going to put this foliage in. Let that dry for a little bit, get a little bit harder, clean that brush off. There's another colour I didn't incorporate, a bit of olive green, really good for the Australian outback. Olive green, really good. And what I'll do is I'll just, again, speckle that from the horizon line. Kind of out here, we've got that yellow bush there, and we'll bring that down. Again, still just using that 20mm flat brush. Look at all these beautiful little yellow flowers. Just fill that in. Paint right over your edges if you've got it taped down. Just speckle some of that in there. I'm just moving the brush left to right and up and down, just kind of dabbing and drawing it out at the same time. Probably won't incorporate too many of those shadows that you can see there, but we'll definitely bring a few points of interest out into this old track. We've got some old spinifex, some of those old brown roly-poly bushes. We've got a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to have some nice yellows through there. I'm going to go nice and dark with that olive green on that left-hand bush. We'll make a bit of a feature out of that one. Got some darks in here. Nice and dark. Get in there nice and dark as well. Now, people say go dark onto light. Some others say go light onto dark. For me, I just sort of don't really have any set rules when I set out. Sometimes I like to do my darks, and sometimes it can be a little awkward trying to put your lights over your darks, and vice versa. Sometimes it can be, you know, too hard to put your light down and then add your darks in. So it's sort of work it out as you go along. Nice big array of some beautiful, brilliant red. Still a bit too wet. Again, I'll jump in here real quick. What I mean by that being too wet is that olive green underbase is not quite dry enough to make that yellow or that lemon yellow really stand out to the point that I want it to. So wet into wet is for blending, and when you really want another colour to stand out over the other one, you virtually need that underbase to be really, really dry. And as you can see, I'm just using the edge of that flat brush. I'm just going to grab some of those colours and bring them through here as if they're sunlight. Alright, now I'm just going to have a little go at this flat fan brush. If you watch Victor Yushchenko on YVN art, he does most of his landscapes, so much of the blocking in process he just does with his fan brush. If you watch pretty closely, fantastic artist. He's another acrylic artist, but gee, next level with his landscapes. Victor Yushchenko or something like that. And yeah, no, great artist. Just inspiring landscapes. Breathtaking landscapes. Once you're finished with me and watching another 3 or 4 videos after that of mine, why don't you scoot over and have a look at him? Just enjoying this. Working out how this is going to pan out. This is just, like I said, the blocking in process at this stage. I'm not even sure how big I'm going to make my beautiful little Sturt desert piece. So the sun's just catching the very tips of these little bushes and bits of foliage on the sides of the track. Pretty. A little bit of that in there. I'm just going to play around with that track. It should be dry enough now. Nice and light in there. Start to look a little too light. Now that that's dried off, these colours will stick a little bit better to the canvas. Be a little bit more vibrant, as when it's wet into wet, it'll just be too, how would you say it? It'll just rather blend as opposed to, you know, do what it's about to do, which is look fantastic. Nice yellow look up there. Alright, now a little bit of yellow ochre. I'm going to try putting some rocks in for now, just some little stones and things there that should be there in around the bottom area, sort of to the sides of this trail. Just some very, very small little splatters. I'll get them in, and then I can start to do some of these little Sturt desert peas. Now there's my beautiful little page that I like to give my subtle hints, and I'll just leave that there for a second. Now I'm going to get a little bit of that titanium white. Already got my yellow ochre on there, and I don't mind using a fair bit of that. Now I'm just going to get my, let's say, 10 mil, oh, I might even go that 15 mil over here. Now, it has been sitting there for a while, so your brushes do get a little stiff after they've been cleaned. So I just like to break that stiffness down before I start to use them. Now, I'm going to grab a fair bit of that white, get that nice and wet with my brush. I'm going to grab some of that yellow ochre, just the tip. Now I did use yellow ochre, didn't I? Kind of looks like a little like, yep, there's yellow ochre. Kind of looks a little bit like raw sienna. But anyway, right, I'm going to get that into a nice slurry. Don't want it that runny that I lose all my colour or the pigment, but I also need it to be able to splatter and give it that random stone appearance in my painting. Now I'm just going to add a little bit more white. I'm going just a little too dark on that pigment. Just grab a little bit more. Now I don't want this to be too big a blobs. I really want tiny little stones in there. Now it's starting to turn into a nice slurry. Now what I might do is I might not use that brush. I was going to use that 10 mil, but I don't think it's going to give me the finer splatters that I'm hoping for. So I'll have a little practice with, I'm thinking this little fan brush here might be the ticket. Got you there. I'll grab my little plastic palette knife here. Now, get that nice and wet. It's always a good idea just to have a little practice off the page a little. Yep, that's not too bad. Very, very subtle. Just a few little spots. You could possibly hardly pick them up on the camera. Now I'm not going to go straight back onto those stones. I'm going to let them dry for a little while, those little white splatters. And just to be clear, that was titanium white and a little bit of yellow ochre. I think that looks like I've used raw sienna, I reckon. Looks a little dark compared to that yellow ochre. But it doesn't really matter. It still gave me the desired colour that I'm after, or the desired effect. So like I said, I'm just going to leave those a little bit longer. Just my trusty little spatula here. Make sure I've cleaned that down. Subtle hint. Away, and now we're going to get back into this foliage a little. Take a little bit of an advantage of that yellow ochre, or that little stone mix that I've just mixed up there. I'm going to grab one of my detailed brushes, which will be a, oh, he looks pretty good. So I've got that number 6 round, and I've also got a number 1 round. So there's the difference, guys. As is so starting down from 1, even a 0 is really fine. Then you have double 0, and this right up to a 6. So you can see the difference in sizes there. Grab that round. I'm gonna, when you're wanting to load the brush up, but that's no good. That's just going to give me blobs. So I'll load the brush up, but at the same time, I will spin or twirl the brush away to be able to get that point that I'm after. And I'm just going to make it look like this. A few little spin effects and things. And I mean, really, why do I bother? Because really, at the end of the day, I'm probably going to be painting over a lot of this anyhow, once I get these nice big over-exaggerated Sturt desert peas into the mix. But yeah, that looks pretty good. Pretty happy with that. That's just adding the tiniest little bit of detail. Don't forget, we've got to come back to those rocks too. Just remind me, will you guys? Got to get back to those rocks. So now I'm just going to come back with some of that raw umber. And as you can see here, I'm just going to add some shadows just at the base of these little green patterns that we've created. G'day guys, once again jumping in here. As I'm editing this, I'm just looking at that nice little track, and if you do not want to add the Sturt desert peas later on, that's fine if you're following along. You could do some beautiful little flowers on this track, because as it is, that's a nice artwork in itself. So if you want to deviate from this style, I'm just showing you how the Sturt desert peas look in my rendition. But once you create your own little artwork with this as a guideline, please feel free to start putting nice little flowers, I'm thinking some white flowers, some pink flowers, some little reds, even orange or yellow flowers in there, or the whole lot. All of the above would look really good in that foliage and down the center line of that track. So up to you guys. Kind of got shadow coming in over here, but I'm not really going to emphasize that shadow too much. Alright, so we've got all these little stones here. Now remember from the last painting, we just get just underneath them a little. Just kind of make them look like they're not quite round. It'll just sort of give you that authentic look to some of these stones and rocks. Like I said, you don't have to get every stone. Well, you know, I may have said it in the last video. You don't have to get every rock or stone. Just try to get the larger ones that are more prevalent. And also, don't forget, if you've got a little cluster like these, just make some sort of shadows in around some of the little clusters and leave some of the others. And it tends to leave it or make it look more realistic anyhow. Just give it that really cool looking sort of look that they're really standing out. All right, let's get into these beautiful Sturt desert peas finally. Now remember I said we're going to go some vermilion, which we have right here, some vermilion red. Put that right next to that orange. As you can see, it's got that nice light red look to it. They're almost like a fire engine red, those Sturt desert peas. Now, what are we going? How are we going to do this? Let's see if we can just grab that good old filbert there. I'll just wet it down a tad. Notice there's two over this way, so just paint straight over the top. A little bit of orange to it. Now I have bought out one of the big guns, one of the Matisse structures by Derivan. They're not a sponsor of mine, but yeah, when I want to get a little serious, especially with my commissioned artworks, you've got to go the higher quality. These little cheapies are great for the beginner, and you can really start to cut your teeth and get some experience behind you. But when it comes, once you've got past that stage and you're starting to take on commissions, don't use these cheaper paints. Start to use your Matisse, your Golden, your Atelier, Interactive, Sminky. I haven't used them myself. Apparently they're bringing out acrylics now. I'm just gonna have a go at that there, and just see if that's gonna bring that light to sort of just add a little bit more and kind of almost make up my own vermilion. I'm liking that. Gee, it's a good paint, that structure. Right, I've added a little bit of white to the side there, so I've got that orange and that Matisse red. I'm just going to mix all those together to bring in just a bit of a lighter shade, and I can add and take away as we go along. See, when you mix your paint, I'll chop it and cut it, but I'll also always try to push it towards the center so I get a nice dob of paint right to the middle of where I need it. And then I'm just kind of letting it get larger to the center, and then I'm bringing it back. So a little point, push it down, and then sort of let it trail off. All right, now it is starting to get to a point that it's looking okay through here, but it's not really what I was after. And I said earlier in the piece that I was thinking about going more of a caricature sort of style with this particular painting, as they all seem to be these lovely little outback settings that I'm doing. But having said that, yeah, I mean, it's kind of working, but it's, you know, like it's very close to the reference, but I want to get away from that if I can. And I really wanted those Sturt desert peas to be the main subject, really stand out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little bit of white paint here, with this titanium white, and I'm just going to go a little bit larger so that they're really the main focal point. We'll come over then with the red. found in the outback of Australia, these particular little flowers. And again, see how I'm just going nice and thick to the center there, and then I'm just lifting the brush off. That's better. It's more what I was looking for. Let's got those in place. And I'm just going to put a little bit more of that raw umber. Just put a little bit more shadow in around the bottom here. Now I'm just going to maybe add a little bit of that Mars black to these little nice big dark eyeballs in the middle of these unique looking little plants. They're just incredible looking little plants. As you've seen by the footage at the start, that vibrant red, which I'm finding it a little difficult to replicate, but we will get there. Just hang in there. I'll add a little bit of that Mars black, like I said, and we will do some hot white highlights, and then I'm gonna, on the top of these little flowers here, or these little Sturt desert peas, you can see that there's a real vermilion red, sort of almost orange red at the top, and then the shadows and some other things, and there's even little bits of white playing over the edges of the petal, or whatever they are. big black bauble in here that you can see is actually the outside of that flower, so they kind of fold outwards, if you know what I mean. So I put a little crease line in there just to sort of just give it a little bit more interest and kind of make it look like it's got that fold, and just makes them stand out a little bit better as well. And now I can also go around the edges with some nice dark, got a little bit of crimson that I've mixed in there as well. Get in there nice and dark, bring that down, just to start to, just to give these some nice little definite breaks between the plants or the flowers. All right, guys, we're here with my lovely young apprentice.
Hi.
So you've got that ready to go. Straight up and pull that way, remember? That's good job, good job. Nice work, nice work. What we'll do is just pull it down and just on that angle. Nice and gentle. Don't tear it. You got to go that way, love. That's it, good girl, beautiful. Pull it straight down virtually, straight down towards you. Nice job, Lace. Just do that last little bit myself. I'll just pull that one off because I can reach over. And beautiful. Gotcha. Now it's all done. You want to say see you later, everyone? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to, what's it again, love?
Likes and subscribe.
Likes and subscribes.
Bye.
Bye.